Oh, so on January 6th, the day when Joe Biden was supposed to be, confirmed president of America, something happened. Some people say it was good, some people say it was bad. What happened was a bunch of Trump supporters marched onto the Capitol, and well, they attempted to break in and shoot a bunch of people. Gunshots went off. It was a big mess. It was a huge mess. And I, along with many other very intelligent, intellectual academics on the political internet, uh, have deemed this event the Trump Jihad. It's a Trump Jihad, right? And uh, guys, this Trump Jihad, this Trump rally, this has been terrible. The consequences of this, the things that are happening, and the things that are going to happen, what the establishment has planned out, it's all going to be really bad. Following the incident of the Trump riots at the Capitol, big tech corporations are already implementing these mass waves of deplatforming. Donald Trump has been deplatformed on Twitter, on Facebook, I believe, and a lot of his a bunch of MAGA supporters, a bunch of conservatives, they're also being deplatformed from the internet, and even sites that a lot of these conservatives have used as a refuge from the censorship of big tech, such as DLive, right? DLive, yeah, it's another sort of live streaming platform. And Nick Fuentes was their biggest streamer. He brought in the most revenue for them. He got deplatformed. Now I don't like Nick Fuentes, right? I don't like anyone on the far right. I don't like them, but it does send a message that big tech companies, they're cracking down. They're starting to crack down on everyone, and they're gonna start using this as a they're gonna start using this at to further you know seek out political extremism, however they deem it, and they're gonna start cracking down, right? This is just the tip of the iceberg. The Democrats, the establishment, they've been scheming to implement a domestic terrorism bill months back, right? Months back, and now they're talking about it more, especially after this, right? They've gotten consultants, they've gotten people who were the original, you know, writers of the Patriot Act. Joe Biden, a bunch of older Patriot Act politicians. They're all they're trying to create a new domestic terrorism bill, and that will give the government more power to pursue whoever they deem as far right or a neo-Nazi or white supremacist. And all these groups are bad, right? White nationalists, cringe, not based. Far right people, very cringe, right? But this doesn't just mean anyone that's a racist or whatever. That this puts anyone within the third positionist camp, anyone that's actually anti-imperialist, anyone that supports real world socialism, anyone who is against you know the interests of the big bankers, the big oil companies, the establishment, right? This puts anyone who's against the establishment on this sort of you know group of political extremists that that now it's going to be a lot more easier to snuff them out. Now it's the big tech companies are on board with the establishment, with the government, and this is just you know they're trying to put an end to the this sort of movement that you know it was always there. The people the people already wanted something different, right? And Trump came in and he promised that. And despite what you may think of him, Trump did radically change politics in the U.S. But does have problems. And speaking of him, now Donald Trump, uh, he had good promises, and in the 2016 climate, people were tired of everything that was going on. They were tired of of the Democrat establishment. Obama had done nothing, and we had this sort of surge of populism that came from people like Trump, and it came from people like Bernie. Each were anti-establishment in their own way. Each tackled different problems. But you know, Donald Trump, he made a bunch of promises, and overall, his presidency has been terrible. He's been a terrible figure. He's just he didn't hold that. He didn't bring forth any of the things he promised. He abandoned his followers after the failure of the riots. After he said we're going to march onto Capitol Hill and we're going to demand, that they give us a fair election. Whatever you may think of that, he made that call to action for his followers to go there. And after the clusterfuck that was, you know, the I mean the establishment liberals don't care. They shot them down. They like they shot them down. It was a big mess. And Trump, after that, he just disassociated with them. If he cared about his movement, and if he wasn't, another politician, he would have pardoned his supporters. He would have, stood with them. He would have said, yeah, he would have taken the blame along with them. A good captain goes down with the sinking ship, right? Like Donald Trump made promises of bringing back the good-paying jobs, ending the illegal wars, and trying to rebuild this country, but he's done the opposite. He's he's filled his cabinet with rich billionaires and bankers, and he's ruined the relationships with many countries. He went about immigration the wrong way, and he's you know had this agenda, anti-China agenda, anti socialism, anti-working class. That's what he preaches. That's what he practices. But he disguises it under this whole rebuilding platform, and he has a bunch of blood on his hands. The blood of it on his hands of all the people that died from the sanctions on Cuba and Iran, died from the wars, and the blood of his hands, the blood of his followers who died in the Capitol Hills protest. And his presidency, it's left this big hole in the hearts of Americans. It's just been a disaster, and we need to be careful now. And end this off by reading a quote. It's from Martin Niemöller, around Germany regarding the German Nazi Party and the platform that Hitler you know took, and what happened. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak up because I was not a socialist. And then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak up because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak up because I was a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. That's going on right now. That I don't agree with anyone on the far right. I don't agree with Trump's platform. I don't agree with these people like Nick Fuentes, but the attack on them that we've seen, it's not about them. It's about the real enemy. It's about the establishment. It's about the capitalists, the people at the top. The super wealthy that are trying to destroy this nation. That care about other nations. They don't have the interests of the American working class. They just care about themselves, and this whole event, this whole mess, has just given more power to them.